Thank you, Kenny. Congratulations as well to our student athletes over here. Great job, outstanding. You know, I knew I was going to talk here on Friday, and after the game was over, obviously not a result that Tulane wanted. I was thinking a lot about what I was going to say here today, and you know, it's interesting. It was our first road trip, and the first actual road trip I ever went on as a member of the Tulane broadcast team was at Legion Field, where we played on Saturday. It was the first game of the 1993 season, and Alabama was defending national champions. And that day, Gerald Soule went off tackle, broke a tackle, and went 98 yards from the south end zone to the north end zone, and it's a record that's probably never going to be broken at Tulane, but I just thought it was interesting how it had gone full circle, because Kenny mentioned I'm starting my 12th year as the play-by-play voice, but I've been doing Tulane football as far as the broadcast team for 25 years now, so I've been to every Tulane game home and away for the last 25 years, and I've seen games like we had on Saturday. I've been through a lot of tough losses, and it really never gets any easier. You'd think you'd be used to it by this time, but you just don't get used to it. You don't get used to going in the locker room, and after the game's over, and you see an emotional head coach addressing his team, and you see players who have given it everything they've got, with tears rolling down their cheeks because they fall a little bit short. And it's tough, because you see this team on a daily basis, and you know how hard they prepare, and you know how hard the coaches prepare them, and they're this close. But it's all about results nowadays, as everybody knows. You got to figure it out to get over the hump. And you know, the two games that we've lost this year has basically been the same type of pattern. Start very slow, head into halftime, play much better in the second half, give yourself a chance to win, and then not make a play here or there that allows the other team to win the game. And that's been kind of a pattern and a theme really the last couple of years. We've lost 6 games by 7 points or less in the last 2 years. We're that close. Even though we have not played our best football by any stretch of the imagination on both sides of the ball in the 2 losses this year, which of course week 1 was in overtime to Wake Forest, and then on Saturday, despite not playing our best football, there's still an opportunity to win the football games. And you know, that's the thing that the coaches have to figure out, and the players as well. And we're at Coach Fritz's press conference along with a couple of players addressing the media, and it's got to figure out how to finish ball games and be more consistent for 60 minutes. It's very difficult to play 30 minutes and win a football game. You got to play the 60 minutes, and that's what the message has been, and that's what the message continues to be. And we'll see, because again, this is a staff that prepares very well. They know how to win. They've won their entire careers. Now you just got to play mental free as far as mistakes, and get the results. Now, as Kenny mentioned, this weekend is going to be a bit of a challenge. Heading up to the shoe. Personally, I'm very excited just to call a game from there. I have been there, and I talked to Ed Daniels a little earlier. The year before I started the Tulane broadcast, I was at Loyola getting ready to graduate, and I had a buddy of mine from Columbus. And the opening game that year, the 1992 season, was against Louisville. And he invited me to come up there. I'm like, absolutely. Well, the quarterback for Ohio State that day was someone named Kirk Herbstreit. I think you recognize the name now. And John Cooper was the head coach. And Louisville was not Louisville back then. They were not that great of a football program back in 1992. And Ohio State had a 20-13 lead with 2 minutes left in the game. And Louisville drove down the field and scored with about 7 seconds left. So they line up to kick the extra point, and Ohio State blocks the extra point. We know all about kicking and extra points this weekend here in New Orleans. But the one thing I remember about everyone's leaving the game, and I mean, people were not happy. They were very upset, actually. The one thing I remember was they wanted John Cooper's head on a platter after that game was over. That's the one thing I'll never forget. But I have been there as a spectator. I've never been there as a broadcaster. Very much looking forward to it. The kids themselves, you know, they're looking forward to the experience. I mean, you don't get to play in front of 110,000 people very often, if ever. So, you know, we were at Oklahoma last year, so it's not going to be a complete shock to the system. You know, they had 85,000 people there that day in Norman. So, you know, just listening to a couple of guys today talking to the media, they're looking forward to it. Kind of, you know, you get jacked up to play in a game like that. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, you know, after that, conference starts and with Memphis in a couple weeks, and that's when the real meat of the schedule happens. So if y'all have any questions, ask away.
Just to take the heat off Columbus for a few minutes, what's baseball look like this fall with you going into his third year?
We'll see about baseball. I'm in football mode right now. We'll get into that in the spring. I gotta go with a sport at a time here.
Hey Todd, I've been hearing a lot of the Tulane fans talk about, hey, if we could just get 6 wins, we'll get to a bowl game. But I mean, just getting 6 wins doesn't guarantee you a bowl game. So my question is, I'm not familiar with y'all's schedule. What's the other 5 games you see on your schedule that is possibly a win?
Well,
or more.
You can't go into it like that. You got to play every game. And again, you're going into the Wake Forest game hoping you're going to win. You're going into Nichols hoping you're going to win. You're going into UAB hoping you're going to win. You got to play one game at a time. Now our league, even though I think as a whole, it's not as strong as it was last year. I think from top to bottom, the parity. I would say the teams at the bottom of the league are a lot better than they were a year ago, in my opinion. The top is UCF, USF, Memphis, who we're going to play in a couple weeks. Houston's always strong, so we're in a tough league. Cincinnati, who really struggled last year, they've already got a good win this year, and they're going to be better. We're going to Cincinnati in 3 weeks, so you got to take it one game at a time. But we have been competitive, and competitive might be the wrong word. The point is, we've given ourselves a chance to win in every game in our league the last couple years, except maybe Memphis. That's been a real thorn in our side. But there's not one team in our league that you're going, all right, well, there's no way. That's not the case at all. You have a chance, but like I said, basically in the opening monologue, we're not good enough to make mental mistakes and overcome them. You know, some teams who are more talented than we are can afford to do those things. We can't. We've got to play sound, mistake-free football, turnover-free football, and we'll give ourselves a chance to win. Then when you get into that position, you got to figure out how to do it. So every game's a different deal. Every game's a different chapter in a book, and you just got to figure it out.
Yeah, Todd, I got a question. Something that we talked about when you walked in. Obviously, Banks is not having the year that everybody hoped. You know, it's still early in the season. Last year, he was actually a little bit more spectacular than he is this year. Just looks like a little bit of fire may not be there. And addressing that is that considering Tulane got the transfer from LSU, McMillan, how does that look like that may work into the system?
Well, we'll see. Now look, Banks, Jonathan is not where he needs to be on a completion percentage thing. He's not running as much as he did a year ago. Now, Coach Fritz talks about that earlier today. I think we're going to see him maybe tuck it up and run it a little bit more. There's been such an emphasis this year on him staying healthy because of the lack of backup, experienced backup. But As far as McMillan goes, and look, Jonathan Banks is the quarterback. There's no question about it. He is the #1 quarterback, and he's going to have to be successful for Tulane to be successful. But I will say that I've seen Justin McMillan take a little more reps in practice, especially today. Watching him for the first time, I would not be surprised to see him get a little action either this week or next week, because quite frankly, you got to find a backup. You can't expect to play an entire season, which at least I've seen at Tulane, for a quarterback to play an entire season without getting dinged up a little bit. So they're really trying to work McMillan in, and we'll see how long it takes when we get some playing time, but I would imagine it'd be sooner than later.
So talking about the slow starts, is it because the players are too hyped in the beginning of the game, or lack of focus, or is it early in-game adjustments?
The players were asked that literally an hour ago.
I wasn't there, by the way.
No. Just what I'm saying is they can't put their finger on it either. It's just, for whatever reason, we've just been really slow out of the gate. Wake Forest, we were shut out, did not have any points. UAB had 7 at halftime. In today's college football, if you're not scoring 24, 31 points, you are going to have a really, really hard time winning. Just, if you watch games around the country, and I'll watch as much as I can, the way offenses are performing nowadays, it's really difficult for defenses to stop them. And you basically going to have to go toe-to-toe with other teams. So, like I said, the second halves haven't really been a problem. We're able to put points on the board. But if you're starting, down 14 into halftime, it's tough, because you're expending a lot of energy coming back, first of all, and then you got to keep at that keel. So just getting out quickly, to me, is going to be a very big key to the rest of the season. And just not get behind the 8 ball, so to speak.
Can you talk about some of your superstitions and what you do before a game, during a game? Because I know you're noted for your calm demeanor, but I was just wondering if you could talk about that.
I'm routine oriented, Ed. Routine oriented. Just do the same thing every day. Today's chart day. Worked on my Ohio State stuff. Wednesday, more of a practice day. Going to watch a lot of film on Ohio State. Next couple days, and Thursday we got talk to Coach Fritz. Friday we travel, and Saturday we're ready to go. So just do the same thing. Nope. Get there early. Losing my voice. Thank you.